Hi, I'm Kelly Levick, and this is my Reflection 3 video for Library 859, the Practicum. So I am just going to go over my portfolio. My candidate info page, it shows a picture of me in the mountains this summer. I'm an 8th year elementary school teacher. I've been in 3 different school buildings, first graders and kindergartners. It talks about where I am wanting to go with my life and how I am heading out of the classroom into a library. That kind of information is on that first page. Then we go to the standards. Standard 1 involves the librarian as a leader. The documentation I provided for this assignment is a Google Doc with my professional learning network information and contact list of people I will utilize throughout my district. Another item of documentation is a Google survey, which I can use to help me coordinate with classroom teachers. So my professional learning network document is right here. There's blogs and discussion boards, my Facebook account, which I belong to library groups, a Twitter account that I use, different chat rooms, different educational groups, newsletters, and then personal contacts throughout the district, and along with websites that I check for ideas. The Google form to help me collaborate with teachers. Looks like this. So again, those cover leadership and best practices through helping others and looking to others for help also. Standard 2. The standard draws upon the librarian as an instructional partner. The items included are a newsletter for the school and school families, and also notes from a meeting that I attended before school with the 2nd grade team. Just finding out what kind of resources I could gather for them were I the librarian. Just to practice meeting with people for help. Here is the newsletter. I would have library hours on it, different technology tips each month, a different book pick of the month that goes with book themes, a different student reader book, library policy reminders, and a place where people can click to fill out ideas or questions, which will then get sent to me via this form. It's just another way for people to get in touch with me about things that they are curious about. And then this down here, as I said, is just notes from a team meeting with 2nd grade to try and find out ways I could help them were I the librarian. So that was Standard 2. Standard 3 takes us to the librarian as an information specialist. This does include a video of a lesson that I did on the story The Dot by Peter H. Reynolds. It was a lesson I did with kids where they colored a paper, and then we used an app for that, and it did cover both the Standard 3 standards that I selected. The video is about 9 minutes. There it is. It was my first time using the swivel, so that was an interesting learning experience also. One that I found really helpful and that I will definitely use in the future, outside of just videos for my courses. Standard 4, the librarian as a teacher. I included a flyer for a readathon night, as well as a video of a discussion I had with my instructional coach, just to find out more ways to promote reading within our school. Here would be our flyer. This is based on when I was in elementary school. I remember having readathon nights like this, and I really loved them and looked forward to them, and I would be interested in starting something like that also. And the video with Christy, my coach, right here. It was just about 11 minutes. Next, standard 5. Addresses the librarian as a teacher, knowledge of pedagogy. So for this, it was a video of my active inquiry lesson, following the reading of a Show Me Reader nominee book. After the fall, how Humpty Dumpty got back up again. The kids used, we read this story, and then they were to build a device to protect a plastic egg from falling on the ground. Okay, and that was again the swivel device, which I am not fully used to yet, so it missed the first part of that lesson, but it did get the inquiry where they built the device. Standard 6 is the library as an administrator. I put in here my own district policy and handbook that I made for classes, as well as a flyer to promote our school's scholastic book fair to students and families. So here is my handbook. Oh, well, here we go. Okay. Not for me right now because I'm logged into my other account for my job. And here's my Scholastic Book Fair flyer. These were our dates and times for our book fair this year that we had. So that was my last standard in my portfolio. Then we go over here to the activity evidence. The AASL artifacts. Some more standards that I went over using different items that I have made for other classrooms. This talks about LMS candidates, encouraging reading and lifelong learning by stimulating interests and fostering competencies and the effective use of ideas and information. For this one, I used one of my assignments where I read journal articles on how librarians had redone their libraries and repurposed it to make it more useful. So those were really some interesting articles that gave me great information on ideas how to change around libraries. Teaching and learning. This goes with collaborative planning with classroom teachers. There were a couple different things that I put in here for this. I put in a lesson that I had made using the Handy 5 planning model, and this was for a collaborative lesson on something for ELA in our current school. ELA, but involving planets and space. And then I also put in Quiet Start notes from my second grade meeting with teachers It also is in my other standards as well. Collaborative leadership. This was just a pass-out flyer that I made for a different class that I would give to people, showing them how I could help them in the school and how I could help kids. And also the Professional Learning Network assignment, which I also had in my other standard as well. Get down here to Program Administration. This is how I can help promote the mission of the school. And this is a different article about how this one librarian increased the student use by 1,000%. That's something that would be very important to me, is having teachers utilize the library as much as possible once I became a librarian. So that had some very great ideas in it. And then also back to the newsletter for families and teachers in the school also, on how I can help promote reading and the library administration. My Handy 3 lesson that I did was with my video on after the fall, how Humpty Dumpty got back up again. I just put that in the Handy 3 lesson format, which I do have to say, my district is very strict about what we do. We do the gradual release in a very certain and specific way. Many lessons are actually scripted out for us, so thinking outside of that anymore is really quite tricky. Again, here's my policy handbook, which was also posted in this another standards area. So this ended up being very, very long, many, many pages, but it was interesting to think through each one of these items and how I would want it to go in my library. My principal interview. We actually emailed each other back and forth these questions, and she's extremely busy throughout the day. That just worked better for her, so I didn't push the issue. So it was interesting to hear her take on librarians and what kind of an asset she thinks they are to the school. My theorist paper I really enjoyed working on. This involved touching briefly on 5 theorists and how I think their theories fit in with our educational system, and more specifically what we do in the library. So the theorists that I focused on were, there we go, Jerome Bruner, Jean Lave, Maria Montessori, Arnold Gazelle, and John Dewey. So it's really interesting reading more about those theorists and just piecing it together with the library. And then last is going to be the mentor evaluation, my work log, which I'm close to completing, and my reflection. This is the last portion of my reflection, and then it will be ready to post on here also. So that is my portfolio. It has been interesting learning this whole process, and I'm hoping that it came together quite well. Thanks.